Well, greetings from a very hot California. It is sweltering outside. It's the middle of July 2024, and we're hiding in here in the air conditioning. And I just received a toy I bought for myself during Amazon Prime Day, and I thought you guys might like to see it. This is going to be a bunch of disk storage for my MacStudio. I have a 8 terabyte dual disk array from Otherworld Computing, which I have filled with video because I do a lot of it, not just for this channel, but also my wife's nonprofit and a bunch of other things. And yeah, so I've got like 7 terabytes of stuff on my 8 terabyte drive. So it was time to upgrade, and I saw someone on Reddit suggest doing this. I thought, hey, I could do that too. So the idea is we're going to use this box and these solid state drives in here to get 16 terabytes of solid state storage. For a total cost of about $1,000 at the end. So yeah, so this is the Otherworld Computing Express 4M2, because it holds 4 M2 format solid state NVMe drives, non-volatile memory express drives that sit right on the PCI lane. What is that? Peripheral component interconnect? I can't remember anymore. PCI is such an old acronym. Anyway, so this, as I said, this was about $230, $240. It wasn't on sale. And these individual, I just opened this up and get in here. These are 4 terabyte P3 Plus NVMe sticks, and they're probably a little over-spec'd for this. These can do about 3 gigabytes a second, and I think this thing, at its best, supposedly can do 2.8 gigabytes a second. I'll be happy with anything over 2. So I bought 4 of these. These are $200 a piece, so as I say, we're about $1,000 all in, 800 and 200 and that. So we're going to stick these in here, and then Otherworld Computing sells their own RAID software called SoftRAID, which is kind of old and has a lot of user complaints about it. And in fact, I've used it in the past, now that I think about it. Gee, I may even have a license for it that came with the old, with the disk array I have now. I might go look, but my plan is to use the Mac OS Sonoma's built-in RAID functionality and disk utility to put this thing together. So that's the plan. I didn't do the big unboxing because I'm old and I'm not really too interested in that, but what you get in the Express 4 M2 box is this here. IEC cable I haven't opened in case I'm going to return it. I have IEC plugs, and then a Chinese switching power supply brick, and it, you know, it's too bad. It's always like, where are you going to put this thing? And if there's a weak link, this, you know, may well be it. But let's see, what's this put out? This puts out, oh, it is so little, 12 volts at 6 amps, so 72 watts it says. So this is power hungry and makes a little heat. The wrap on this is that the fan is too small and too loud. We will see if that turns out to be the case. On the side here, they have a QR code you can scan to get the startup guide and the user manual, which is just a web page. They didn't even do a PDF, so we really are kind of living in the future now. And if you go there and look at it, there's a video with this breathless guy talking about how easy it is to put things in. And he says, loosen up the 2 thumb screws back here. Well, as you can see, there are no thumb screws anymore. Those must have cost them an extra, you know, 35 cents to put on here, so they've taken them off. Instead, you remove these 2 Phillips screwdrivers, and this whole thing slides out. So, and again, back here you got your Thunderbolt in and that, you know, your Thunderbolt bus in and out, and you have a display port here if you want to run your displays off of this thing, and then the power input. So pretty simple, and I guess that's about all I need to say about that. There are different modifications you can do to make it quieter, put heat sinks on and run a slower fan, or cut a bigger hole and put a bigger fan. I see people saying they're doing that on Amazon and Reddit. So we'll see if we can live with this thing, but hopefully you know, it'll make my office a little quieter. And then I have a 20 terabyte Seagate, is it an Iron Wolf? Anyway, a big Seagate external drive coming in a few days that'll back all this mess up, because to make this thing go as fast as it possibly can go, you have to configure it in RAID 0, which means you have no redundancy. You just make it one big 16 terabyte solid state drive. And if one of these fails, then the whole thing is kaput. So you need a backup so you can replace one that goes kaput and put it back together. So let's see how it is. I'm curious. Well, I don't know how interesting this is going to be to all of you, because if you're watching this video, you obviously kind of been doing your research and know what this is, but and I haven't looked on YouTube, but there's probably 1,000 videos of this thing being put together, because it's been on the market since, like, I don't know, 2018 maybe. It's been a while. Anyway, the reason you have to put 4 drives in it is because they only gave one of the lanes on the PCI bus to each stick that goes in here. So if you want to use all the lanes, you have to put 4 drives in, which probably was a design decision that saved them some money. And so here we go. Got the circuit board, the carrier for the M2s, and the fan assembly everybody hates. And it is a little guy. I did some work with the Advanced Technology Group at Apple in the early 90s, like 92 or so. It looks like the back screws and the fan screws are the same. Here, let me. No, they're not. The fan mounting screws are just a little shorter. And we were doing early SCSI. SCSI was a new thing then, and we were doing early SCSI arrays. We took like 8 Seagate 20 meg. They were more than 20 megabyte drives at that time. By that time, they were bigger. I think we were trying to get something like 20 megabytes a second, or maybe it was 80 megabytes a second. And we showed a video of some 3D modeling. Spinning was a big data set. And that was about the same time the Advanced Technology Group was working on early voice recognition thing called Casper, which is very similar to Alexa. So that was in the early 90s too. Anyway, so here's the fan. Take this out of there. Good quality fan. See, I don't know why people are complaining. It's a good quality fan from Runda Electronics. Very nice. Anyway, so here's where the drives go, and here. So yeah, these are crucial. P3 Plus. I made it sound like P3 Plus was some kind of technical specification, but it's just Crucial Technologies memory branding. Crucial's been around a long time, so I figured they were more or less brand name here. Yeah, so they're saying 4.8 gigasecond. Guess I own it now. Get a stick, get a little instruction manual. Who needs that? We're macho here. Oop. Oh, they provide a little mounting screw, like that does the same thing as this screw. But we won't need that, so. Should I go left or right? Boop, boop, boop. There she goes. Boing, 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 boing. So that keeps pressure on the tangs. Guess we would have used the magnetized screwdriver here to hold this. Gonna hold it, okay, and there we go. Then we just repeat that 3 times, so I'll speed the video up now so you don't have to labor through all this. So when it comes to SSD drives, you can make and you can buy more expensive ones that store 1 bit in every cell. Those are single level cell SLC chips. These particular Crucial P3s, because they're inexpensive, use something called QLC, or quad level cells, which means they store 4 bits in every memory cell. And because of that, they're slower, because it's harder to get 4 bits into one cell, it takes longer time, and they don't last as long because there's more wear and tear on each cell. But we don't care, because we're going to RAID these up, and honestly, before they start to wear out with my usage pattern, I'll probably never even hit it. But I mean, it's terabytes and terabytes of data can be read and written before they start to go. So I'm not worried about it in this configuration. These also don't have a DRAM cache of any kind to speed things up. But again, it doesn't matter because we're going to RAID them all up together. Okay, so that's it. 4, 8, 12, 16 terabytes, supposedly. And let's put this little 2-wire fan back in. Oops, sorry, bumped you. Try to keep those wires out of the way. Wants to be on that side, but I want it out of the way. And I can't remember, was it inside the flanges or outside the flanges? I need to get in with my magnifier here. I mean, inside the sides or outside the sides? I guess it's inside the sides. They said on the video on the website it's a tight fit. And it certainly is. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so it goes in. That's a little clunky-ish. Now, let's see. Of these, which are the short ones? There should be 2 longs and 2 shorts. These are the shorts, okay. And are we lined up? Looks like it, more or less. Okay. So I got me some extra little screws. I can put those in the hardware drawer, and then these 2 here for the back. Shall we plug this thing in and see what it looks like and sounds like before we connect it up to a computer? Let's do that. Hang on a second. Okay, so I've got the power brick on my own IEC cable. That connection there is called an IEC plug. What is that? Something, God, I should look it up. I'll look it up and put a title on here into their power brick. And then this is the little, shorter, cheaper Thunderbolt cable they ship with. There's been some complaints about this not working very well. We'll see. And now I don't know if the fan will actually run if this is under software control and it has to be enumerated by the Thunderbolt bus before it'll go, but let's just plug it in and see what happens here. And I guess it does have to be enumerated by the Thunderbolt bus before it goes here. So, all right, well, let's drag it over to the computer and plug it in. Well, first I thought I should try to put this back together. And I go, gee, it's so hard to get in. It's so hard to get in. And then I looked at it. Well, it is keyed, so you can't put it in upside down like a dumbass like I was. So now I hope if I've turned it over, it'll just slide in. Let's see. And get that. Those fan wires are a pain. There we go. That's more like it. All right, off to the computer to play. So here is the scene of battle, and the LG 5K monitor there may look familiar if you've been watching the channel for a while. I did a video on that when I first got it, and I guess we're coming up on about a year ago, and that thing has worked flawlessly. I'm very happy with it. And if we pan over here to the left, you can see the MacStudio right there, and then I have temporarily put the Express 4 M2 on top of it and connected it to one of the Thunderbolt jacks on the back. It's on the bus all by itself on that particular output from the studio. And then I kind of ran the power brick up here goofy temporarily. And behind this screen that's on end here, the Dell, is the old disc array, which I showed you in some B-roll at the start, which is all covered with dust with some other oddball discs, and all that stuff will be coming out once this thing's online. But anyway, let me turn on the screen recording software and get a camera locked on that, and we can plug it in and see what happens. You'll have to excuse the crummy lighting and shadows. I never shoot over here, but let me go ahead and plug this in and we'll see what happens. Boom. And lights on and up, there we go. And it looks like 4 sticks, 4 messages here. There go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's kind of nice. And the fan does not sound very loud. You know, but it does sound like the bearings are having a little trouble. It's going dun 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 dun. I mean, it's a little gravelly, a little grumbly. This microphone is not the best test in the world, but that the actual volume level is not too bad. What's more annoying to me is the brightness of the LED. You can't really see it on camera. Let me turn these off. That is very bright, but that's easily solved with a piece of electrical tape or sticking it behind with all the other equipment. Anyway, so, okay, let's turn our attention then to the screen. Okay, so all 4 sticks signed on. That is a good sign. And I think what I want to do is I'm going to initialize each of them individually first so I can test them before I put them into an array and make sure they're okay. So let's see what happens here with initialize. He's taking us right into disk utility, so let's we can ignore the rest of these then and just deal with it from inside disk utility. Here they are. How do I get that other? There's a more detailed view. Oh, here we go. Show all devices. There, I want to kind of look at this. So so this is my 2-disc array, and then I've got, you know, other junk plugged in, and then here are the 4 sticks. I thought we might get a little more information on them here, but I guess not. And then I have an array of just junky 4 terabyte disks I made for temporary storage. All this is going to come out. So I already have a soft array, a slow soft array on USB 3. But anyway, so let's look at the 3 things we're interested in here, and okay, we'll go back to volumes, and we will initialize. I'd like to, it'd be nice to know, let's see if do we get a bus number or anything here? Connection PCI. Oh, here we go. That says disk 12, disk 13, disk 14, disk 15. So I'm going to assume that those are like the you know, the BSD disk numbers. But let's I'm going to assume that these are in the order they're in the case. So we go, you know, the one on the left, the 2 middle, and the one on the far right. So we'll go ahead and initialize them across here. So erase. We'll call it stick 1. And we'll use the Apple filing system. Yep. That's fine. And let's erase it. Okay. And 4 terabytes. It's all very happy. Did a snapshot. Volume loop, okay. Let's keep going here. We'll go stick 2. I'll speed this up so you don't have to sit through all this. Okay, so now we have all of those volumes formatted and mounted with the Apple filing system on them. And what I want to do now is just run speed test on them, both to see how fast they are and to make sure they kind of work before I put them in an array and sort of hide their individuality. Okay, so let me fire up Blackmagic speed test here. And I've already run this on, get this out of the way. I've already run this on my existing 2-disc Otherworld computing array, and I'll show you a screenshot here of the speed on that. And as you can see, it's, it's very slow. And here is a shot of the internal drive that came with the Mac, the internal SSD. And now let's try this one. So we'll pick a destination. We'll do the 5 gigabyte. We'll set a target drive. Let's do. Let's see. We'll get up here to the top, and we'll do stick 1. There we go. And let's see what it does. And that is about 700 megabytes a second, which is about what we expect because, again, it only has one PCI lane associated with it. So, I mean, in the old days, PCI is a bus, and they divide it into a series of data channels. You can think of them as wires, even though what they do is they tunnel it over the Thunderbolt wire as just data packets with tags on it. Because there's only one bus, you can only get that hunk of it. There are 4 channels going out over the Thunderbolt wire, which in theory, I think there's 32 gigabits to that. So you ought to be able to do 4 gigabytes, in a perfect world with no overhead, if you were using all 4 channels. And that's why we bought 4 sticks so that we could stripe the data, across it. So the data for one file starts on one stick, goes to the next stick, and the next stick, and the next stick, and back when you were using mechanical rotating media, that was great because the next data was always spinning right under the head, and it went a lot faster. But with SSDs, it's not as important, but it does let us saturate the bus. I don't know if any of that makes sense. But anyway, the first stick is looking good. And what's our read? Yeah, so 700, 700. That's about what I expected. So let's try the second stick. Do. And we'll do that. And it looks to be about the same, of course. And I'll speed up as I go through the other 2 here. Okay, they all seem to work, so let's go back into Disk Utility and erase them now. Wonder if I have to erase them to do this. Let's see. Where is that? Is it on the menus here? There's the RAID Assistant. We'll bring up the RAID Assistant. I would like to create a striped RAID 0 for the most speed and danger, as opposed to just a bunch of disks, JBOD, which just treats each disk separately. It doesn't put the data for one file across multiple drives. And what we really want is to go fast, so we're going to use RAID 0 here. So there we go. And then he says, well, add the disks you would like. Okay, I would like to do these 4. Next. And what shall we call this? The Express 4 M2, I guess. Chunk size. Should I change the chunk size to something bigger? Enter a chunk size that matches the size of the... Yeah. I guess I'll leave it at the default. I'm tempted to make it larger, because we're going to be putting a lot of video on there. But again, fragmentation. I'll take the default. That's a tough question. I don't know a good answer for that. Create the RAID from these things. Permanently erase them. That's great. Go. Yay. All right. That seemed to have done something there. Let's see here. We have Express 4T. There it is, 16 terabytes, all ready to go. Let's run a speed test on this thing then. Put this over here again. Black magic, yep. Select disk. Da-da-da-da-da. There we go, Express 4M2, okay. And hopefully this will be a hell of a lot faster. Write is not so good, 1.3 gig, but read is 2.2 gig. So I'll take that for the read when you're loading those big files. Wish the write was a little faster, but you know, not bad. Yeah, we're getting a good 2.2 gig on that for reading. And you know, the writing, gig and a half a second, that's not too bad either. So I'm happy with that. I'll take it. So let's see now how long it takes to copy 7 terabytes of data from my old disk array onto this thing. And I'll let you know. And the answer is 8 hours and 56 minutes, 8:55:53 to move that 7 terabytes and change, which is about 70 minutes per terabyte. And of course, that's limited by the speed of the old disk array, which is surprisingly slow compared to the SSDs, considering they're both on Thunderbolt and they're an array. It's a few days later. I've been living with this thing for a while now that all the other fans in the room have been turned off. The fan in the Express is the only thing I can hear, and yeah, it's a little annoying, not because it's loud, but because it's kind of high-pitched, and the bearing makes it oscillate. It goes a little bit, so it sounds kind of like a mosquito's always in the room. So I may actually modify that somewhere down the road a little bit. We'll see. The other thing I've noticed is when it's been dismounted and the white LED in front is turned off, there are still some blue LEDs inside the case on the motherboards or the boards inside that cast these weird patterns through the back grate onto the wall, which is fine, I guess, but I hadn't noticed it when I first unboxed it. So that's all for this video, and we'll see. We may do another one if I get around to modifying it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.